still focusing on the expected interest rate decision, as analysts have widely agreed that yet another hike is on the cards. That's as inflation has spiked to a new record high at 7.4% due to the continued rise in fuel and food prices. We extend this discussion now with the Fuel Retailers Association CEO, Reggie Sibiya. Thank you so much for your time, Babu Sibiya. Let's start with the impact of fuel inflation. We saw a spike in the CPI data of over 8% in terms of the contributing factor of fuel inflation into overall CPI. How has that been for your particular industry, and what is the effect?
Thank you very much. The effect has been actually quite dire. Equally so on our end as compared with also the consumers. So, firstly, from the motorists, what has happened certainly is that the rising fuel prices have actually decreased the consumption of fuel significantly, and that has a direct impact on our businesses, as our businesses are linked to volumes and fixed margins cents per litre. And so it's a ripple effect. But also what is interesting here, Michelle, is that the fuel prices themselves actually do quite a lot of damage in our own cash flow management and profitability. Contrary to what people believe, actually rising fuel prices actually reduce our net margin. And the reason for that is that some of our expenses, like the credit card costs, insurance costs, they are actually linked to the pump price. So as the pump price goes up, those costs goes up, and those particular expenses are not given in the margin. So our margin has drastically been cut due to this trend of prices going up. The second thing is obviously also the increase in working capital, because now a truckload of just fuel is costing close to $1 million, and that has been a massive impact on our cash flow management. And also the interest rates that we are all waiting for, the increases as such will also increase the obligation for retailers on things like stock holding, interest, on the loan repayments, which will affect in particular the new entrants that are in the space who are highly geared. So it is not a good situation for all of us, and also we're seeing increased demands on wages from employees. So it's really a dilemma for our businesses right now. But we do have some good news in terms of the fuel prices this month.
It's really tough for economic times, Babu Sibiya, and I'm interested in finding out then, how does the industry plan on navigating the next couple of months into the remainder of this year, because inflation is expected to continue hiking, as well as the interest rates that are expected to continue going up.
Interesting. Let me first, before I answer that question, it's quite an interesting trend. As I've mentioned, that we've got a bit of good news. So certainly looking at the international price movements to date, we are expecting a decrease. And I'm personally estimating a decrease more than R1.50 per litre based on the current daily movements. And maybe just quickly on that, is the drivers of that is, it's actually a conundrum situation, because the drivers of that is the fears around the global recession, which is caused by rising inflation costs and interest rates. But coupled with that is that globally then also the volumes or the demand for consumption on fuel has significantly declined. And as you know, then that drives then the prices also to go down. if the demand goes down.
Right.
So, and we are expecting that trend will continue for most part of this year.
However, Sibiya, allow me to interject there. What it becomes even more of a challenge is that we've had about 6 consecutive months of fuel price increases this year alone, and this, of course, started in the latter part of 2021. So how then do we get to a balance of alleviating pressure with the prices that are expected to go down? I don't see that cancelling each other out.
And that was my second point. I'm glad you've read my mind. Because the dilemma we have is that when prices then start going down, we do not see the same trend on inflation and interest rates. People do not adjust their prices down immediately. So although we'll then be having a relief, motorists will be having a relief on the liter of fuel that they'll be purchasing. That will certainly help, but I don't think it will dramatically change the issue of inflation and interest rates, because those are done on a long-term view. So that is the dilemma we also caught up in this situation. But I think the short-term relief will definitely be affected if the prices keep on going down. At least, with the budget that you had for fuel, you can get extra liters on it. So we are hoping that that is actually going to assist. And from our side, how we're going to navigate is actually an extremely difficult situation. We are still putting more pressure on the government to reinvest us on costs like credit cards, because those costs are real. We're not asking here for costs that we do not incur. And we believe that the 12 cents a litre that we're asking for is not going to, make a significant dent from what we're already experiencing. Because there needs to be a balance here, Michelle, between consumers' interest and also small businesses' interest. Because if we don't become careful about these issues, then we're going to run into the issues of the security of supply.
Super. I think we'll leave it there. We've run out of time. Babu Sibiya, thank you so much for that insight. That is Reggie Sibiya talking to us ahead of the expected outcomes of the MPC meeting. Of course, that decision on rates.